I'd like to take a few minutes to introduce our guest speaker. Dr. Joe Boaler is a professor of education at Stanford University. Former roles include being the Marie Curie Professor of Mathematics Education in England and a maths teacher in London Comprehensive Schools. Her PhD won the National Award for Education Research in the UK. She's an elected Fellow of the Royal Society of Arts in Great Britain and a former President of the International Organization for Women and Mathematics Education. She's received numerous awards, including a National Science Education Early Career Award. She's authored 14 books and several research articles, and she's the White House presenter on women and girls. She co-founded ucube.org to give teachers, parents, and students the resources and ideas that they need to inspire and excite students about mathematics. Her work has been published in several news outlets such as the New York Times and Time Magazine, and her latest book, called Limitless Mind, Learn, Lead, and Without Borders, is published by HarperCollins. She's currently co-leading a K-12 data science initiative and was named as one of the 8 educators changing the face of education by the BBC. We are honored to have Prof. Boaler with us today and to tell us more about taking a limitless approach to learning, probably leading to. Prof. Boaler, it's over to you now.
Thank you very much. And hello, everybody. It's really great to join you all. And I thought I'd start by sharing some of the things you just heard. I am from England and started my career as a maths teacher in London, but came to Stanford in California a few years ago and founded our website, ucubed. And if you want to look at this later, it has lots of different maths ideas and tasks and things to read and do. And a couple of books that also share some of my ideas. But my Limitless Mind book talks about keys that unlock us. And I'm going to share a few of those keys this morning, today, in the time we have together. And the first key talks about the incredible evidence we have now that our brains are constantly growing and changing. This is not how it works, although a lot of children think this. When they struggle in maths, they think, oh, I don't have a maths brain. And this is not actually true. There is no such thing as a maths brain. And this is what happens each time anybody learns. There's one of 3 possibilities. One is you start a new brain pathway when you first learn something and strengthen that as time goes on. The other possibility is you strengthen a pathway you already had. And the third possibility is you form connection between pathways. Those are the ways mathematical pathways are formed in the brain. Nobody's born with them. We're forming them all the time. So I want everybody to know they can learn anything. When people try and find limits to things people can learn, they can't find them because really we have limitless potential to learn. The second key is about the importance of struggling and making mistakes. We have very strong evidence that the best times for our brains are when we're struggling and finding things difficult. That's when your brain is on fire with brain growth. And when you embrace that idea and realize that struggle is really good, it's liberating for people. They keep working longer. When I work with students and they say to me, this is hard, this is too difficult, I say, that's great. That feeling of it being hard, it feels like that because it's the time when your brain is most active. And when people get this message, they live their lives differently. I love some of the visuals of James Nottingham, who talks about the pit, that you have to get into the pit where the pit of struggle. I work with teachers who have got their students to draw pictures of the pit. This is a 5th grade teacher in Canada. And you can see the students, as they're going down into the pit, they're saying things like, I'm so confused, I'm not good at maths. But as they're coming out, they're saying, I just need to think harder and use tools. So it's really important to honor and embrace those times of struggle. And then the third key is about our minds and what we believe about ourselves. It turns out if you believe you can learn anything, it changes your learning. It also changes other things, your health. When students start to develop a growth mindset and believe they can learn anything, all sorts of magical things happen in their lives. And we know why. This study was an incredible study where they looked at people's brains when they made mistakes. These are actual voltage maps of people's brains from the study. And what they found was people with a growth mindset who believed that it was good to struggle, when they made a mistake, their brains were on fire with activity, which you can see from that orange brain, it's lighting up. Whereas people who had a fixed mindset, when they made a mistake, there wasn't as much brain activity. So that helps us understand results like this, that kids with a fixed mindset have been found to sort of stay at the same achievement level, but kids with a growth mindset are always on this upward trend, which isn't surprising when you know that every time if you have a growth mindset, every time you make a mistake, your brain grows more. So anybody can change their mindset at any time. I find when people read and know the evidence, they start to change. It's a journey, it's not a quick switch. So I've shared 2 keys and talked about how important they are for people's learning and their lives, but for learners, it's not enough. There are more things we can do to be limitless. And I work with neuroscientists at Stanford who have shown that whenever we work on a maths problem, there are 5 different areas of the brain that are involved. 2 of them are visual pathways. It's really important to think visually. And when we think about maths in different ways, it forms connections between these different brains pathways. And connected brains are the most powerful brains. And I know we're running out of time, but I thought I'd give you an experience of this. So think for a moment about, without using paper and pencil, about how you would solve this question, 18 times 5. And we are short on time today, so I won't give you much time to think about that. But when you think about a number calculation like 18 times 5, you may do this. You may think, I have to line it up and use an algorithm and carry numbers. But there are many ways to think about numbers. With 18 times 5, for example, you might think instead of 20 times 5 and then take off 2 5s. Or you might break 18 times 5 into 10 times 5 and 8 times 5. And I'm showing visuals of what these might look like. You might think about 9 times 5s or 18s. Or one of my favorites, you might think, well, 18 times 5 is the same as 9 times 10. So what I'm showing you here is how you can think about numbers with numbers, but also with visuals. And when you do that, all these amazing brain connections happen. So one more key I think I've got time to share with you is that we need to let go of the idea that speed is what is valuable. And in fact, speed is the enemy of what is another important part of thinking, which is deep and flexible thinking. And when people, one of the stigmas that hold people up is the idea that you have to be fast to be good at maths. I love this book that talks about the 2 forms of knowledge, algorithmic knowledge, reasoning, that people value so much, is actually, according to the author, a low-level god. And the Zeus of human thinking is flexible and creative thinking. And that formal algorithmic thinking is, of course, the thinking that computers can do better than any human. But flexible, creative thinking is what human brains are so good at. And they're at ground zero at getting computers to engage in that. So the last key is really about the importance of connections. I'm just whizzing through some slides here, but to tell you how important it is to collaborate and connect in mathematics. So I think I'll stop there and I've shared quite a lot in that short space of time. And I am going to see if there are any questions.